Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to shop for cross-stitch supplies. So we're going to start by going to your local craft store. You can go to any craft store, but today I'm going to show you by going and shopping inside of a Joann's. So this is the embroidery floss. So there's lots of it. This is what you're going to want to use to cross-stitch with. If you notice these shelves here, I'll say embroidery floss on them. And there's different kinds of floss. So there's like the satin floss, and up here is some pearl cotton stuff. So you're gonna want the embroidery floss. If you want the real shiny stuff, you can use the satin floss, but that pearl cotton stuff is not great for what we're gonna be using it for. So, but you can use it sometimes. So let's go and pick a color. So let's look at this nice pink here. So if you look here, there's a number associated with it, and that number is also listed right here on the package. So this is great for if you go to like a thrift store or something and you find a thread that you like, then you can buy that same color in the store. So another thing, so this is all 6-strand embroidery floss, which is what we're going to want to use to cross stitch with. So moving on, we've got all of the different kinds of fabrics. So there's the fabrics that are already in shapes and have pieces of fabric on them. So like if you look at this one here, this is a towel, like a hand towel, and it's got like a little section of cross stitch fabric on there so that you can cross stitch a design on your towel and have cute little towels with cross stitch on them, which is very cool. So then there's just the blank fabric here. So this is all Aida fabric. They have a little bit of the canvas fabric over there, but we're going to use mostly Aida fabric. So as you can see, the Aida fabric, they all have a count number to them. So this is 14 count, and there's some 18 count here. That's just about how spaced the squares are. So the 14 count, the squares are further apart. So it's just going to be less detailed. So if you want really, really detailed patterns, you're going to want to use a higher count fabric. I usually use a 14 count fabric. I just, it's easier to find, and I like having that large size to it, which is nice. So then there are lots of different kinds of kits. So there's all these kits here, and so these are kind of nice because they come with all of the fabric and all of the thread that you're going to need in order to do the design that's on the front. So like there's a cute little heart one and a little pillow. So they have a ton of different kinds of patterns. So then there's these. So this is all for doing cross stitch with yarn. So you use, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's like really big holes in this. So you use much thicker yarn, and you have patterns like that. So I know people have made pot holders and coasters out of this kind of stuff. My great grandmother had a bunch of those. So these are just the fabric in quotes that you can use for that. And then they also have kits for the yarn ones, which is kind of nice. Next is the needles. So these are all cross-stitch embroidery needles. They are all labeled. So one of the things that cross-stitch needles frequently are is they are blunt. If you already have a needle that you really like using, you do not have to buy new needles. You can use any needle you want for cross stitch. I would recommend smaller rather than larger. If you use a real thick needle, it'll really show in your fabric, but if you already have like, you know, a small sewing needle, you can go ahead and use it. You don't have to buy new needles. So, and then last but not least is the hoops. So embroidery hoops are very easy to use, and as you can see, they're not super expensive, but they do make it a little bit easier. You don't need to use one if you don't want to, and if you're doing pretty small projects, you're not going to really need one, but having them can be nice sometimes. So that's where you can find embroidery hoops and find all of the other items that you'll need to cross stitch with. Another thing that you can also find are books about cross stitch and embroidery. So they have lots of books about quilting and sewing and cross stitch and crocheting, knitting, all sorts of things. So there are cross stitch books. So there's lots of that show you different ideas for patterns and stuff. A lot of them at the end of the book will have patterns in them. So like this one has got some cute little flowers, which is really great because if you have, you want to cross stitch but maybe you don't know how to do it or where to start, it's nice to start with patterns. So like this book has got a ton of different patterns that it shows you how to make all of these really unique patterns and shows you, what colors you should be using, what stitches you have to use. And so this is a really great place to start if you want to cross stitch but maybe don't have the imagination to try and make your own patterns, or you maybe just don't know what will look good on that Aida cross stitch fabric. So looking through books that have patterns is a really good way to get started.
That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments.